Central Bank of Nigeria fixes 2 billion naira capital for mobile money operators. Oil slides as OPEC Plus delays output decision. A New York Stock Exchange makes a U-turn, says it won't delist three largest Chinese telecoms firms. And the year, of course, it is still brand new. What does it mean to invest in peace of mind? Details of these and more on Business Express reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Liakatun Babatunde. The Central Bank of Nigeria says mobile money operators (MMOs) are to maintain a minimum of 2 billion naira capital base. The Apex Bank, in a circular signed by its Director Payment Systems Management Department, Musa Jimo, says they have also been authorized to hold customers' funds under its new licensing framework, which offers a clarity for new and existing market participants. He explained that under the new licensing regime, e-money issuing, wallet creation, pool account management and other activities are permissible under single agents, adding that the new policy aligns with CBN's commitment to promote a strong and credible payment system. The dollar found support as concerns about surging COVID-19 cases and uncertainty about U.S. runoff elections in Georgia fuel demand for safer assets. Let's now see how the Naira is exchanging for other currencies. The National Pensions Commission says pension fund administrators have invested 217.58 billion naira in the real estate as of the end of the year, September 2020. PENCOM said this in its third quarter 2020 report, which noted that 54.57 billion naira was invested in infrastructure in the period under review. Total assets under management, it also says, stood at 11.56 trillion naira as of the end of September. PENCOM's guideline on direct real estate investments by closed PFAs and approved existing schemes. Direct investment in real estate involves the purchase of an already developed property or financing the development or construction of a property to generate income for the pension fund. The aviation industry is backing on the proposed COVID-19 vaccine to stimulate recovery faster than earlier envisaged, but experts are suggesting that in order to turn the trade into opportunities in 2021, domestic airline operators must harness cargo services to augment loss while exploring the possibility of night operations at the nation's airport. Michael Olaleye reports.
With an estimated 7.3 million passengers passing through the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in 2019, the foundation for growth in the coming years was already built. But tragedy struck in form of COVID-19 and necessitated the grounding of flight operations. Millions of jobs lost, but the ray of hope is that man has found a way to fly again. In the midst of these, the survival of the industry has become a topical issue, and experts are optimistic that 2021 is the year that the aviation industry will rediscover its glorious days.
Go public. Let the airlines go public. If you can go public and get a little bit of technical assistance, as most of these countries were even trying to hail, like Emirates.
They say establishing new markets for airline carriers must be backed up with rebates and waivers.
One is to open a special window for the airlines to access the to access foreign exchange, which should be much lower than the prevailing black market rate. Also, I think it is time for the agencies and other service providers, especially those owned by government, to begin to work out waivers, subsidies, and reduction in charges.
The light at the end of the tunnel is that we have a vaccine. And with that vaccine, we hope the recovery will be expedited, meaning that the growth, or rather the going back to the passenger level pre-COVID will come sooner than later.
Stakeholders are optimistic that the future is bright and the aviation industry remains the only vehicle for stimulating the anticipated growth in the midst of COVID-19.
Investing in peace of mind used to be one area thought to be luxury and in fact in some instances flamboyant, but COVID-19 came along with other socio-economic prevailing instances, and that notion is beginning to change. Insurance penetration is still very poor in this country, but 2020 dished a bitter lesson. Are we learning? Ekerete Olagamikon is an insurance expert, and this morning we'll be gleaning his experience. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. Happy New Year.
I wish you the same. So what does it mean to invest in peace of mind?
Oh, wow. I think it just means to have everything that you can call yours and yet not be troubled by having those things. I can tell you that, like you said, 2020 has taught us that it's not in how much you have that matters, but it is in how you are able to, survive with those things you have. How do you survive when crisis strikes like it did to us all over the world? And of course, insurance became the biggest discussion in my own view, because, we had to stretch it, go to courts and determine who should and what benefit from insurance. And you could see that it's only those who had the insurance policies that were favored by the court judgments that we had in the UK and South Africa. So investing in peace of mind, is simply saying, look, yes, I've got all the money in the bank. Yes, I've got all the things that I can consider as what life is about. But when you have crisis, how do you then deal with it? Because you can't assess those things. We found out that even at the government level, we found out that it's not how much you have as government. There used to be a time that you would say government does not need to do insurance because government will always be government. Government is huge. But we've seen government come on their knees, and so you could imagine the violent protest in Lagos. Lagos State government has come out to say that insurance is saving Lagos State government. The NTA case is there. We can see insurance is saving. 1 billion naira is a lot of money by any standard. So as individuals, we need to take a cue from this and say, if government could take a position as government to do this, then as individuals, we need to. You can't sit back and watch your family, struggle through life when you know that there's an option that you could have taken. And unfortunately, that option you can't take when something goes wrong.
Exactly. So I was actually going to ask you your assessment of the insurance industry in Nigeria, particularly in the year 2020. How did the industry fare?
I think the industry got what I would call a wake-up call. It was the biggest challenge the industry has faced in time, and it's also been the biggest opportunity the industry has had to show itself out there. And the industry, I would say, has responded very well. However, we could have done more. We could have done more because we spent too much time talking about recapitalization. I know, struggling through the discussion, should it be, shouldn't it be? And I'm saying, hey, if you're in business, do I need to come and tell you that you need capital to run your business? So if you look at it as a business, we don't need that long discussion that we had. And we're still having that discussion into this year. I pray that, we would not lose the kind of opportunities that we lost last year. Let me tell you. Last year, yes, the violent protests happened. But I'm sure you've heard a report that says that the insurance industry companies have agreed to pay 9.7 billion naira to over 1,000 businesses. We have not talked about the business that did not do insurance, which you and I know are far beyond those numbers. So what's going to happen? They're losing. But I'm thinking that if the insurance industry had seen the opportunity, like we said, we could have done something like was done in Kenya after the election crisis, where the insurance industry came out and said, even those that did not have insurance, we will, come through and do something about their situation. Because that's what will encourage them to now begin to say, oh, we now see insurance as helping. Because we've got to come to the point of appreciating that we need to help ourselves this year
I
to
was
recover.
going to also ask you, at what point really did the insurance industry lost the crowd, coming from the fact that in the past we were hearing a lot that had to do with insurance? You also observed it in your authored piece in the series Investing in Peace of Mind. At what point did the industry lose the crowd?
You see, if you read the report that's I've made out there, thanks to the guys behind it, you find out that there was a time in this country when insurance was done by individuals on giving their bank standing order, which means, look, at the end of the month, take this amount out of my money to pay premium for insurance. So the trust was there up to that level. Now, the issue of claims continues to be the differentiator between what people will do with insurance and what people will not do. All right? So when people began to experience, insurance companies failing to honor their obligations, the claims, the story started going around. Oh, have they paid yours? Oh, they haven't paid mine. Oh, I hope. And then these companies, over time, struggled. Why? Simply because, premium that you get from insurance, for insurance business, it's not your money. It's money that you are holding in trust. So when something happens, you come up and pay. There shouldn't be any long discussion about it. Because you have a situation where you've collected money from 5,000 people, and then 50 people come forward to take from the pool. Why should that be a difficult thing to do? All right? So these monies would have been invested in the right instruments. These monies would have been kept in what we call reserves, so that when claims comes up, people will pay. So the issue of when did the industry lose it? The industry, in my own view, lost it over 30 years ago. That's as long as I have been in the industry, because I've heard since I joined the industry, in that time, low awareness, public apathy. And so what this report is meant to do is to bring some rebuilding process, for people to begin to trust. And then you can't trust what you don't know. So let people begin to have the knowledge of insurance through this report, and know that insurance is not as technical as people say it is. Insurance, what is insurance, basically? You have gone to put your money somewhere and say, in the event that something happens, I will come and pick it up. All right? So people are doing, there are several alternatives to insurance, if you must know. So people are doing different things that they can trust. We know in this environment, Isuzu is one of them. And that's a big challenge for insurance. If people can trust that process, insurance is just trying to modernize what people are doing. All right? So if people can't trust it, then you have no business being there.
So how do we gain back this trust now, 2021, coming from 2020? We are also witnessing a second wave of COVID-19.
Fantastic. So how we do this is, first and foremost, the regulator has got to take a strong position and say, you have no business being in this business if you're not ready to honor your claims obligations. Because a lot has happened in the past, and people have had to call out the regulator, and probably drag the regulator on social media to say, come on, do your job. These companies don't have to be there. Because for some reason, there's the challenge of communication, which I think the regulator is doing some things, but it needs to be communicated publicly for people to be aware that these things are happening. A company that has been given a warning, it needs to be communicated that this company has been given a warning. The company that is not honoring its obligations should not be allowed to behave like the company that is truly honoring its obligations. I mean, you can't continue to sell to new people, for example, if you're not honoring the obligations of the old people that you've done business with. Now, secondly, let insurance companies, and a lot of them know that they are in business, but few of them who are misbehaving, I would say, behave as if they are in some closed room doing things that people don't know. No, that time has passed. It's no longer about what the law says people should do. People now want to genuinely, from what has happened last year, say, I want to do insurance. And so they must do insurance with the good companies who will pay their claims. And that's part of what this report is addressing. Because in part 4 of the report, we've expressed some things about claims experience of different companies and all of that. I mean, the industry is paying claims. But we shouldn't then allow people who are not paying claims, to mess up the pot. Because individuals who are not getting their claims payments are also sitting as directors and chief executives in different organizations. So they see that organizations are being paid claims. So why are individuals not being paid claims? So there's something wrong with that, which we need to change this year.
Okay, now for Nigerians now who have lost confidence or maybe lost interest or in some instances are not even aware why they need to get insured, but now the whole world is seeing that insurance is very, very important. What would you be telling Nigerians just before we wrap up to begin to pay attention?
I would like to tell Nigerians that this is the year of insurance. in my own view, and you see, it's not about my culture, it's not about my religion, it's just the fact that you're ignorant of it. So this report has been written in very simple English, for people to, you can read it, understand it, and then tell the other person about what you have read. Different experiences of different people are in the report. And so you find out that we no longer have to discuss insurance as something for some people. Insurance is part of our lives, and we should take it as a lifestyle. And that's why I feel challenged when we are going through this whole recapitulation thing. Deadlines are being shifted and all of that. And you see, what I would like to do is to let people know that you don't even have to wait for recapitulation to happen anymore. Just find your way to get the right information about the right company that you should do business with, because we don't want to see people suffer, in the next 2 years, what people have suffered 2 years ago because of some bad practitioners.
Okay.
All right.
I would like to sincerely thank you for
so much.
coming on the program. I've been speaking with Mr. Ikerete Olagam, an insurance expert.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Now, some women groups have been pulling resources together to mitigate the effects of the coronavirus on them. But they are not stopping there, as they are also lending support to others. Patricia Bako belongs to one of such groups and spoke to our team on their surviving COVID-19 journey.
Surviving COVID-19 series is brought to you in partnership with the Central Bank of Nigeria.
I'm representing Nigerian Association of Women Entrepreneurs, NAWI, and we train women on entrepreneurship of different types, and then we are into agro production, and this is plantain flour. We are the sole distributors of this, and we are also suppliers. We supply hotels and other organizations. We have been in existence for the past 27 years now. During COVID-19, it was really stressful, but we are able to cope because most of our women started doing other things, ventured into other things, especially in production and packaging. And so the COVID-19, even though we are yet to get our own benefits, but we also went out to assist other people that needed help.
Surviving COVID-19 series is brought to you in partnership with the Central Bank of Nigeria.
Now, gold eased on Tuesday after rising more than 2% in the previous session, while markets and participants awaited runoff elections for both U.S. Senate seats from Georgia that will determine the future course of fiscal support. Now, oil prices slipped from multi-month highs in volatile trade as U.S. stocks fell near 2% on concerns over the outcome of the runoff elections. The oil market pared earlier losses after the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, and allies known as OPEC Plus could not decide on Monday whether or not to increase output in February and will meet again on Tuesday. Brent futures fell 50 cents to $51.3 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate settled 90 cents lower at $47.62 per barrel. Earlier in the session, both benchmarks rose and fell by $1 a barrel, with the WTI reaching its highest since February and Brent its highest since March. The premium of Brent over WTI was on track to rise to its highest since May. And the Nigerian Stock Exchange continues to rise as the equities opened January upbeat. The all-share index gained 2.18% to settle at 41,147.39 points, and that is the opening figure this morning. Away from home, shares in Asia Pacific were lower in Tuesday morning trade, following an overnight drop on Wall Street as fears surrounding the coronavirus pandemic lingered. Moplang Dakok reports.
Asia shares of Chinese telecommunications giant surged in Tuesday trade after the New York Stock Exchange NYSE announced it will no longer delist the firms. The NYSE had previously announced Thursday that it would delist the three firms. Overall, Chinese stocks were mixed. The Shanghai Composite down slightly, while the Shenzhen component gained 0.542%. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index declined 0.47%. European stocks opened lower on Tuesday as the coronavirus pandemic and the imposition of further restrictions weighed on investor sentiment. London's FTSE opened 25 points lower at 6,571. In the United States, stock futures held steadily in early morning trading on Tuesday after S&P 500 suffered its first decline to start a year since 2016. Futures on the Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 45 points. S&P 500 futures and Nasdaq 100 futures were also both slightly higher. Stocks in Africa are expected to open positive in resistance to the COVID-19 variant, with equities in Nigeria taking the lead. Bossday Able, Business Express.
Thank you. That report was actually by Bossday Abel. And with that, we end this edition of Business Express. Remember, we value your feedback, so keep the comments, observations, and suggestions coming. Be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube on the NTA's channel. You can also communicate with us on Twitter. The handle is NTA News Now. And don't forget to use the hashtag BizExp. Business Express returns Wednesday by 3 p.m. Be safe out there. I'm Leah Katung Babatunde saying keep thinking and doing business.